The oak benches creaked under the weight of judgment. Marcus Bennett sat in a wrinkled suit that still smelled like the holding cell, his hands folded on the table, knuckles white. Across the aisle, Jasmine wore a navy dress with pearl buttons. Her hair was pulled back, so tight it made her face look harder than he remembered. She wouldn't meet his eyes. The bailiff called her name. She stood, smoothed her dress, and walked to the witness stand like she was walking to communion. Her hand rested on the Bible. The leather was worn, cracked at the spine. "Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." Marcus's stomach turned. He knew what was coming. He'd spent the last 3 nights in county jail playing this moment over and over in his head, trying to find the part where it made sense. It never did. The prosecutor was a thin man with glasses that caught the fluorescent light. He smiled at Jasmine like she was brave for being there. "Mrs. Bennett, can you tell us what you found in your husband's belongings 3 weeks ago?" Jasmine's voice was soft, steady. "Pills. Oxycodone, I think. In his gym bag. And did you confront him about this?" "No." She paused, and for a second, Marcus thought he saw her hand tremble. "I was scared. He'd been arrested before. I thought he'd changed." The jury leaned forward. 12 strangers who didn't know him, didn't know her, didn't know that she was the one who put those drugs in his trunk, that she was the one who called the police, that she did it all with help from her lover. Marcus wanted to scream. He wanted to stand up and tell them the truth. But his lawyer, a public defender who looked like he hadn't slept in a week, just squeezed his shoulder and whispered, "Don't." So he sat there, silent, while his wife buried him with lies. If this story already has your heart racing, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment below with your first thoughts, and smash that like button because this tale of betrayal and revenge is just getting started. You won't want to miss what happens next. 2 years earlier, Marcus Bennett was a different man. At 26, he woke up every morning at 5:30, did 50 push-ups in his bedroom, and made scrambled eggs with hot sauce while the radio played gospel. He worked at the East Side Youth Center, a building with chipped paint and a basketball court where the net was always missing. The kids called him Coach M. He ran after-school programs, taught them how to throw a proper hook shot, and told them stories about his own mistakes. At 18, Marcus had been caught with a bag of weed and some pills. Nothing major, but enough for 6 months in county. He'd promised himself he'd never go back. He kept that promise. Got a job, took night classes, earned a certificate in youth counseling. He wasn't flashy, wore the same 2 pairs of sneakers, drove a beat-up Nissan Altima with a cracked windshield, and said, "Yes, ma'am," to the church ladies at the corner store. He met Jasmine at a community health fair. She was giving out blood pressure screenings, wearing scrubs with little flowers on them. He walked up, rolled up his sleeve, and said, "You make my heart skip a beat. They're going to mess up the reading." She laughed, a real laugh, the kind that showed all her teeth. They fell fast. 2 months later, they moved in together. 6 months after that, they got married at the courthouse. His sister and her cousin were the witnesses. No big ceremony, just rings and smiles and promises whispered in the hallway. At first, marriage felt like the best decision he'd ever made. Jasmine would leave little notes on the bathroom mirror. "Love you. Have a good day." She'd pack him lunch with extra cookies, and they'd watch movies on Friday nights with her head on his chest. But somewhere between month 6 and month 9, things changed. Jasmine stopped laughing. She'd come home from her shifts at Presbyterian Medical and sit on the couch in silence, staring at the TV without watching it. When Marcus asked what was wrong, she'd shrug. Nothing. Just tired. You sure? You can talk to me. I'm fine, Marcus. But she wasn't fine. She stopped planning dates, stopped cooking together, stopped reaching for his hand in bed. At night, she'd face the wall, her back to him like a closed door. Marcus tried everything. Flowers on Fridays, back rubs on Sundays, homemade chicken soup after her long shifts. But the wall between them kept getting taller, thicker, colder. Then came Sierra Martinez. Jasmine mentioned her casually at first. Sierra said the funniest thing today. Sierra made me this playlist. Sierra thinks I should cut my hair. Marcus listened, nodded. He figured his wife finally had a work friend she could vibe with. Sierra worked the ER night shift at the same hospital. Bold, confident, tattoos on her arms, box braids down her back. She walked like she owned the world. But then Jasmine started coming home late. I'm helping Sierra move. We're grabbing drinks after work. She needs someone to talk to. Her phone was always face down. She changed her passcode. When Marcus walked into her room, she'd click her screen off. One night, he couldn't take it anymore. You and Sierra got something going on? Jasmine blinked. What? I'm asking you a question. She laughed. Not the kind that showed her teeth. The kind that cut. You're paranoid. You're always looking for something that ain't there. But is it there? No, she said, sharp as a blade. And I'm tired of defending every friendship I have. You're suffocating me, Marcus. That shut the conversation down. From then on, Jasmine moved like a ghost. She left early, came home late, stopped talking altogether. Sometimes Marcus would wake up at 3 a.m. and find her standing by the kitchen sink in the dark, just staring out the window. You okay? Just tired. Always tired. The affair started at a bar 3 blocks from the hospital. Jasmine and Sierra had gone there after a long shift. The music was low, the lights were dim, and the bartender poured heavy. Sierra ordered whiskey. Jasmine ordered wine. They talked about work, about the patients who broke their hearts, about the doctors who didn't listen. Then the conversation shifted. You ever feel like you're living someone else's life? Sierra asked. Jasmine stared into her glass. Every day. Then why do it? Because it's easier than telling the truth. Sierra leaned in. What's the truth? Jasmine didn't answer. But when Sierra's hand touched hers, she didn't pull away. That night, they crossed a line. And once the line was crossed, there was no going back. Jasmine fell in love. Not the complicated love she had with Marcus, built on duty and guilt, and trying to be who her parents wanted her to be. This was different. This was fire and freedom and finally feeling like herself. But it came with a cost. Jasmine knew what leaving would mean. Her parents would disown her. The church folks would whisper. Her name would burn in the mouths of people who once clapped at her wedding. And then there was Marcus. He'd never hurt her, never raised his voice. But she knew he wouldn't understand. So she stayed. And she lied. And she waited for the right moment to escape. But Sierra wasn't a woman of patience. One night, after wine and soft music and tangled sheets, Jasmine sat on the floor with her head resting on Sierra's knee. If he was gone, she whispered, we'd be free. Sierra's fingers stopped moving through her hair. You sure about that? Jasmine didn't answer, but she didn't take it back either. Sierra had a friend named Devin. Quiet guy, shady business. He ran pills and powder on the low, worked out a barbershop backroom, moved product in sandwich bags stuffed inside toolboxes. One night, Sierra met up with Devin behind a Popeyes. She handed him $500 in cash. No questions, just business. In return, she got a small black pouch, 3 vials of cocaine, 2 packs of Oxy, and enough street dust to ruin a man's life. They wrapped it tight, sealed it in plastic, and waited. The moment came on a Thursday afternoon. Marcus was at the barbershop getting a haircut, his car parked right outside. Jasmine had a spare key. She slipped away during her lunch break, heart pounding in her ears, and pulled into the parking lot. She popped the trunk. For a second, she just stood there. The pouch felt heavy in her hand, heavier than it should have been. But then she thought about Sierra, about freedom, about finally being herself. She tucked the pouch beneath the spare tire, slammed the trunk shut, wiped her fingerprints from the latch, and drove back to work. That night, she smiled at Marcus like everything was fine, asked if he wanted tacos for dinner. He said yeah, kissed her cheek, told her he loved her. She nodded, pretending she didn't feel like trash. The tip came in on a Friday morning. Anonymous. Typed. Untraceable. Marcus Bennett is selling drugs to kids at the East Side Youth Center. Check his car. A week later, Marcus was driving home from work when the blue lights hit his rearview mirror. He wasn't speeding, didn't have warrants, so he pulled over, calm and easy. 2 officers approached with stiff shoulders and sharp eyes. "Mr. Bennett, step out of the vehicle." "Everything all right, officer? We received a tip. We need to search your car." "Search it for what?" "Step out, sir." He wasn't thinking criminal. He was thinking crazy. He stepped out, leaned against the hood while they popped the trunk. The moment the first baggie came out, his stomach dropped. "What the hell is that?" The officer didn't answer. He just held up the plastic pouch like a trophy. "Sir, you're under arrest for possession with intent to distribute." Wait, that's not mine. I don't know where that came from." But the cuffs were already cold around his wrists. At the station, Marcus sat in silence. He was scared, but more than that, he was embarrassed. This couldn't be real. Then Jasmine walked in, tears already in her eyes, hair pulled into a tight bun, scrub still on. "I just found out," she told the detective. "He's been acting strange. I think he's been selling stuff at the center." Marcus's mouth went dry. Jasmine, she didn't even look at him. Later, she told the DA she'd found pills in his gym bag weeks ago. Said he had a past. Said she thought he'd changed, but now she wasn't sure. They offered her a deal. Testify, and they'd leave her name clean. She agreed without flinching. The trial was quick and brutal. The jury didn't need much. Black man, prior drug charge, a bag of product in his trunk, a wife crying on the witness stand. The prosecutor painted him like a two-faced snake. Mentor by day, dealer by night. Marcus sat through it all like a man in a dream. He didn't cry, didn't scream, but the betrayal sat in his throat like hot stones. He was found guilty on all counts. The judge didn't blink when she read the sentence. 15 years. No parole for the first 12. When the bailiff took him away, Marcus didn't look back, because the one person he thought would be standing behind him was the one who buried him in the first place. They sent him to Caldwell Correctional. Medium security. High walls. Low mercy. First week in, he got jumped in the shower by 3 guys who thought he looked too clean. Broke 2 ribs. Lost a tooth before the guards even noticed. That's when he learned the first rule of prison. Don't trust silence. Second rule, don't act soft. Marcus kept his head down after that. Ate fast. Slept light. Talked only when necessary. The library became his sanctuary. The gym, his therapy. Every night, he went back to his bunk and thought about her. Jasmine. At first, he wrote her. Simple stuff. I still love you. I forgive you. Why? No response. He wrote again. And again. Birthday letters. Apologies for whatever she thought he did. Hopes that they could fix it. But the mailbox stayed cold. By year 2, he stopped writing. Time moved funny in prison. Fast when things were bad. Slow when they were worse. Year 7, the phone rang in the middle of the night. A guard called him to the office. Your mama passed. Heart attack. Marcus just stood there nodding. Can I go to the funeral? The guard looked up. Not on your sentence. Sorry. That night, Marcus didn't eat. Didn't speak. Just sat in the corner of his cell, staring at the wall until morning. His mama was the only person who ever believed in him without conditions. And he couldn't even say goodbye. By year 9, he stopped calling people. Stopped trying to reach out. But then, during a game of spades in the rec yard, an old friend from Charlotte walked up. You heard about Jasmine? Marcus didn't flinch. What about her? She's down in Georgia now. Savannah, I think. Living with some woman. A long pause. You remember that chick she used to hang with? Sierra. The name hit him like a stone to the chest. From that day on, something in Marcus shifted. He didn't yell, didn't snap, but the way he moved changed. His heart turned into a blueprint. His days became strategy. By the time year 15 rolled around, Marcus Bennett wasn't the same man. He walked different, talked different, looked in the mirror like he didn't recognize himself. Bearded, hardened, 41 years old. The guards opened the gate that final morning like it was any other day. You got people picking you up? Marcus shook his head. I'll find my way. And just like that, he stepped into the sun. No balloons, no hugs, just air that didn't smell like bleach and steel. But something sat heavy in his chest. Not freedom, purpose. He had $1,200 to his name. Money saved from janitorial work inside. It wasn't much, but it was enough to rent a room on the west side and buy a burner phone. Marcus didn't want to rebuild. He wanted answers. He started asking around, quietly, carefully. An old friend mentioned that Jasmine had moved somewhere south. So Marcus took $500 and hired a private investigator, a man named Ruben, ex-cop turned PI. She lied on me. Marcus said, I just want to know where she landed. 2 weeks later, Ruben came back with a folder. She goes by Jasmine Martinez now. Moved to Savannah about 7 years ago. She's married to a woman. Marcus's jaw tightened. You know her. Sierra Martinez. Used to be an ER nurse. Now runs some mobile health thing. Jasmine's a nurse manager at Memorial Health. They own a house together. Nice neighborhood. Then he pulled out a photo. It was grainy, but there she was, Jasmine, walking hand in hand with a little boy. Big eyes. Crooked smile. Whose kid? Ruben lit a cigarette. Birth records say Jasmine gave birth. Used IVF. Sperm donor from a clinic in Atlanta. Marcus didn't speak, just stared at the photo. That night, he couldn't sleep. He scrolled through Sierra's Facebook. Public. Flashy. Filled with selfies, motivational quotes, clips from her clinic. A woman who looked proud, loud, and unbothered. Jasmine's page was private. No profile picture. No recent posts. But tagged photos told the story. Birthdays. Baby showers. Brunches with friends. She was there. Always smiling. Free. Then he found it. A comment from a mutual friend under an old photo. Can't believe she went that far over what she thought was just a one-night thing. Marcus blinked. Scroll back. Read it again. He kept digging until the pieces fit. Jasmine had thought he was cheating. That was it. She'd heard a rumor. Something about him hugging a coworker outside the youth center. Nothing serious. But in her mind, it confirmed everything. And instead of asking, instead of talking, she chose betrayal, chose revenge. She set him up because she thought she'd been played, and she was actually the one cheating all along. It was a warm, quiet Sunday afternoon in Savannah, the kind of day made for cookouts and iced tea. Kids rode bikes down the sidewalk. A sprinkler ticked in the neighbor's yard. But Marcus Bennett wasn't here for peace. He stepped out his car and walked the last block on foot, calm, hands in his pockets. He didn't flinch when a dog barked or when a wind chime clinked softly above him. He just kept walking, one step, then another, until he reached the house. 2816. The garden out front was neat. White roses, a lawn chair under a tree, wind chimes near the porch. He knocked once. The door opened slowly. Sierra Martinez stood there in a tank top and sweatpants, her braids tied up in a scarf. She squinted at him, trying to place the face. "Can I help you?" Then she froze. Her jaw tightened. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. Behind her, Jasmine walked into view, holding a glass of lemonade with slices of strawberry floating on top. She stopped cold. The glass tipped in her hand and shattered against the floor. "Marcus," she whispered. He smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. 15 years, he said, voice steady. "Y'all sleep good at night?" Jasmine's lips parted. No words came. I didn't mean for it to go like that. You have to believe me." Sierra moved, hand sliding toward her phone on the entry table. Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a Glock 9mm, matte black. "Clean." "Don't," he said quietly. "Sit down." They did. In the living room now. Jasmine trembling. Sierra sitting stiff, fists clenched. "You lied on me," Marcus said to Jasmine, voice low but sharp. "Planted drugs in my car. Took the stand. Told the world I was poison. And for what?" Jasmine opened her mouth, but tears got there first. "I thought you were cheating. I thought it was the only way out. I couldn't keep living a lie. I didn't know. I panicked. And then Sierra said we could make it clean. You thought I was cheating." Marcus cut in. "So you ruined my life." Jasmine sobbed. "I was scared. I was in love. I hated myself. I didn't know how to come out, how to tell anyone. I didn't want to lose everything." "You didn't lose anything," he said coldly. "You gained everything. A house, a kid, a new name. Meanwhile, I bury my mama from a prison phone." Sierra shifted. "Look, man, this ain't the way. You want to talk? Fine, but not like this." Marcus turned the gun toward her and fired twice. The first shot hit her in the chest. The second tore through her throat. Sierra fell sideways, gasping, twitching, blood pooling fast beneath her. Jasmine screamed. She lunged for the door, but tripped over the coffee table. Marcus walked toward her slow, the way someone walks through rain they've already accepted. She crawled back, hands up, snot and tears dripping down her face. "Please, Marcus. Please. I was young. I was stupid. I messed up. But I never stopped feeling guilty. I swear." He looked down at her. "You swore to tell the truth," he said. He raised the gun. "Now tell God." A final shot. Marcus Bennett drove himself to the nearest police station. He didn't run, didn't hide. No hoodie over his head. No disguise. Just a man in a plain t-shirt. Eyes dry. Hands steady. He parked the car, walked inside, and stepped up to the front desk like he was checking in for a doctor's appointment. "I killed 2 people, he said. "I'm not sorry." Then he reached into his coat pocket, pulled out the Glock, and placed it on the counter. Slide locked. Barrel empty. Safety on. The detectives didn't know what to do with him at first. He wasn't yelling, wasn't shaking, just sat there answering questions like he was ordering lunch. When they asked why, he leaned in slightly and looked them dead in the eye. She lied. She stole 15 years of my life. She got to walk around free, happy, with a kid and a wife while I sat in a cage. You tell me what I was supposed to do with that. Back in Savannah, the aftermath was quiet but heavy. The little boy, Jasmine's son, was taken in by Sierra's sister, a woman named Rhonda who lived just outside Atlanta. Jasmine's family went silent. No statement, no funeral details, nothing. In court, Marcus didn't cry. He didn't beg. He stood before the judge the same way he walked into prison 15 years ago. Stone still. The sentence came down hard. Life without the possibility of parole. Not a whisper in the courtroom. Just the echo of justice. Too late to matter. Now back behind bars, Marcus Bennett wakes up in a different kind of silence. Same concrete. Same clank of keys. But this time he's not confused. He's not asking why. He knows. He spends his days reading, writing, sitting in the yard with a stillness that makes even the guards uneasy. He doesn't fight, doesn't argue. He's not angry anymore. Because anger comes from expectation. And Marcus stopped expecting peace a long time ago. Some stories don't fade. They haunt.
Thanks for tuning in to The Witness Wall. If you're new to this channel, kindly like and subscribe for more gripping true crime stories. Don't miss out. Subscribe now for more thrilling investigations.